विघ्नकारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरसुषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे। So wonderful welcome once again, dear devotees, to this presentation on Bhakti and Vairagya. I am very happy to be amongst all of you. I hope everybody is able to see the screen. Yes, all right. Dear devotees, we will explore this topic, but there is a very important relationship between Bhakti and Vairagya, Bhakti and renunciation, and Shastra gives that deep and important relationship between Bhakti and Vairagya. Often devotees who are on the path of Bhakti, they desire to have Vairagya, or they desire to have detachment or renunciation from the world. How many of us want to have detachment from this world? Please raise your hands. How wonderful. So, you also want to. We want to have detachment or renunciation from this world. But before we start cultivating detachment or renunciation, we should understand a few things about the relationship between Bhakti and Vairagya, the relationship between Bhakti and detachment. I'll begin by a statement in the purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 2:12. And this is by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, you have a loud enough voice. Okay, please read what Srila Prabhupada says.
When the conditioned soul finds by culture of knowledge that material necessities are unwanted things, he becomes detached from such unwanted things. This stage of knowledge is called Vairagya, or detachment from unwanted things.
So there is a very special thing that Srila Prabhupada is saying here. When the conditioned soul, and this all of us, dear devotees, we consider ourselves to be conditioned souls in material life, and Prabhupada says, finds by culture of knowledge that material necessities are unwanted things. So this realization, dear devotees, happens by culture of knowledge. By gradual realization, one comes to know that material necessities are unwanted. They are painful in life. Now, how many of us believe that material facilities, material necessities are painful? See, think properly. Every day we are going to lose necessities and facilities. How many of us perceive material necessities, material facilities as painful? Nobody perceives. By the end of the talk, perhaps our vision will change. Srila Prabhupada says when a person has a little knowledge, he understands that material necessities are unwanted. Dear devotees, unwanted means they are unwanted because they cause pain. And naturally then he becomes detached from these unwanted things. And this stage of knowledge is called as Vairagya. Dear devotees, Vairagya or detachment is a natural byproduct of having a specific type of knowledge. If we have a specific type of realization within our hearts, Vairagya or detachment will automatically occur within our hearts. There, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he used to speak a Bengali phrase. And he used to say in Bengali, Gadha pitaiya ghoda karite parena. How many are Bengali here? Acha, prabhuji, what is the meaning of Gadha pitaiya ghoda karite parena?
So you cannot beat a donkey to make a horse.
Very wonderful, huh? So in Hindi I will say गधे को पीट के घोड़ा नहीं बनाया जा सकता, ना? You cannot beat a donkey to turn him into a horse. And it's very important to understand the meaning of this. Many times we want to beat ourselves into becoming more renounced in the world. But it's a fact that you can't turn a kacha mango, unripe mango, into a pakka mango by pulling it out of the tree and beating it with a stick. I say it doesn't become ripe like that. As latest I heard, it doesn't become ripe like that. So there is one way of ripening a kacha or unripe mango. What is the only way of ripening an unripe mango? Can anybody tell me? Time and proper culture. I hope you are able to understand. Time and proper culture. These are required for an unripe mango to ripen. Similarly, a person cannot suddenly become detached just by beating themselves, beating their mind. They need two things, dear devotees. The same two things that are needed for a mango. What are the two things? Time and proper culture. Proper culture of knowledge is needed. That is what Srila Prabhupada is specifying here. Now, we have to understand the term Vairagya. But before we understand the term Vairagya, we have to understand that Vairagya comes from the term, please repeat after me, Virag. And Virag comes from the term, please repeat, Rag. So first we should understand what is Rag. From Rag we will go to Virag. From Virag we will go to Vairagya. So this is the sequence in which we will understand. First and foremost, let's understand the term Rag. What is Rag, dear devotees? The Sanskrit verbal root is Ranja. Ranja Rage. Ranja means to color or to become attached. Dear devotees, the heart may not be colored by any emotion. Suddenly, due to some emotion, it gets colored and you become attached to something. This attachment is denoted by the verbal root Ranj. And this Ranj, by adding a suffix in Sanskrit, it becomes Ragaha. And I have given the meaning of Ragaha in English. What is the meaning of Raga, dear devotees? Attachment. So Raga is attachment. This is general definition of Rag from a grammar point of view. So dear devotees, what is the general meaning of Rag? Attachment. This is what it is. The opposite of Rag, please repeat, Dvesh. This is the opposite of Rag. Dvesh is repulsion. If Rag is attachment, Dvesh is repulsion. So, our Acharya Srila Jiva Goswami gives a more detailed definition of Rag. And this definition is given in the Bhakti Sandarbha. Please repeat after me. Vishayinaha Swabhaviko Vishaya Samsarga Ichha Atishayamayaha Prema Ragaha Yatha Chakshuradinam Saundarya Adav. Very simple, elegant definition. Dear devotees, the definition given by Sri Jiva Goswami, please hear carefully. Vishayinaha, for those people who are attached to material life. Now, how many of us consider ourselves as attached to material life? Please raise your hands. I will encourage you by raising both hands. You are in the same boat as me. Vishayinaha, for a sense enjoyer. Swabhaviko, there is something which is natural for a sense enjoyer. What is natural for a sense enjoyer? Vishaya samsarga ichha atishaya maya prema. There is natural attraction to the objects of the senses. This prema, this natural love for the objects of senses is called as raga. And then he says, example, yatha, for example, chakshuradinam. For example, the eyes become attracted to saundarya. What is saundarya, dear devotees? Beauty. So sometimes it happens, you are walking on the street, suddenly you see a very beautiful, extraordinarily beautiful person on the street, and suddenly your eyes become like a radar fixed on that person. This is this prema, this deep attachment towards objects of the senses. So there is one Sanskrit term for that. What is the Sanskrit term? Devotees? Rag. So this natural, organic, innate attachment for the objects of the senses is called as rag. Here is the translation of this particular paragraph. Please read the translation from it.
The natural deep attachment that a sense enjoyer has towards experiences of sense enjoyment is known as raga. Example, the eyes have such deep attachment towards gazing at beautiful objects.
So every sense organ has rag. For example, the nose has rag for various fragrances. The ear has rag for various types of music and sounds. Similarly, the eyes have rag for beautiful objects. This attachment that exists in all the senses, this attachment is known as rag. Very simple definition, devotees. Now, we saw from the grammar point of view. When we saw from the grammar point of view, we just understood the basic meaning attachment. Now, when we understood from a detailed point of view, we have a better understanding of what rag is. Now, from rag we have to proceed. From rag we have to go to where? Virag. So, devotees, from rag we go to rag is attachment, and virag. Virag is ragasya abhava, absence of attachment, is called as viraga. So virag is V, absence of raga. Ragasya abhava, absence of attachment. So, and from virag, dear devotees, please repeat. Vairagyam,
Vairagyam,
viragasya bhavaha,
viragasya bhavaha.
The essential mood of virag, the essential mood of non-attachment is called as what? Vairagya. This is what is Vairagya according to the dictionaries. This is Vairagya. So Vairagya is complete absence of any attachment. That is called as Vairagya. Some people confuse Vairagya with Dvesh. There is a big difference. Vairagya means non-attachment. Dvesh means repulsion. These are two different things. For example, if somebody may ask us, somebody may ask an elderly grown person, in their childhood, how many of us in our childhood had attachment to balloons? Please raise your hand. Wonderful. Today, do you feel attachment to balloons or do you feel viraga, non-attachment towards balloons? Viraga. Achha. Now, compare this, dear devotees, if I ask you the question, what do you feel about Karela Sabji? Do you feel virag or do you feel dvesh? What do you feel? Dvesh. So there is a difference between Vairagya and dvesh. So, sorry, those who like Karela. I am seeking forgiveness in advance. I gave the most common example. So, I hope we can understand the difference between Vairagya and Dvesh. Dvesh is when you hate something, and Vairagya is when you are not attached to something. So there is a big difference between Vairagya and Dvesh. We are not speaking about Dvesh here, because Dvesh is nothing but negative attachment. I hope you are able to understand. Dvesh is nothing but negative attachment. But Vairagya is non-attachment. Whether that object is present or not present, it doesn't make any difference to me. That is Vairagya. I hate that object, that is Dvesh. I love that object, that is Raga. Okay, now we understood the difference between Raga, Dvesh and Vairagya. Vairagya is the border position where there is neither Raga, there is neither Dvesh. So there is non-attachment. This is called as Vairagya, dear devotees. Now, detailed definition of Vairagya is given by that particular Acharya who specialized in Vairagya in our country, Sri Adi Shankaracharya. the path of Jnana Yoga, because they are very much Vairagis, very detached. Sri Adi Shankaracharya made 4 prominent disciples, none of whom was a householder. There was one householder, Mandan Mishra, with whom Sri Adi Shankaracharya debated. And with Mandan Mishra, Sri Adi Shankaracharya debated, and Mandan Mishra lost the debate. As soon as Mandan Mishra lost the debate, he accepted to be disciple of Sri Adi Shankaracharya. And first thing that Sri Adi Shankaracharya did is to take a saffron cloth and put on him. You are my disciple, you should have one quality. What quality? Vairagya. You should have. So Sri Adi Shankaracharya defines what is Vairagya. Very wonderful definition. Okay, devotees, please sing after him. Tad Vairagyam jihasaya.
Tad Vairagyam jihasaya.
Darshana Shravanadivi.
Darshana Shravanadivi.
Dehadi Brahma Pariyante.
Dehadi Brahma Pariyante.
Yanitye Bhoga Vastuni.
Yanitye Bhoga Vastuni.
Tad Vairagyam, that is Vairagya. Here, dear devotees, what is Vairagya? Tad Vairagyam, that is Vairagya. Jihasa. What is Jihasa? Hatum Ichha, the desire to give up. Vairagya is Jihasa, the desire to give up. Darshana, Shravana, Adivi, the desire to give up all contact with sense objects through seeing, Darshana, through hearing, etc. All contact. In all sense objects, Dehadi, beginning with your own body. To give up attachment, beginning with your own body. Because the center of all attachment, dear devotees, is our own Deha, our own body. Dehadi, Brahma Paryante, until the position of Lord Brahma. To give up attachment of seeing, experiencing all sorts of sense enjoyments, beginning with one's body, all the way up to the position of Bhagavan Brahma. He anitya bhoga vastuni, in all these temporary objects of enjoyment, to give up all desires, that is called as Vairagya. So here is the translation, Prabhu, kindly read.
Vairagya is to give up all desires of experiencing impermanent objects of enjoyment in the universe through one's eyes, ears, etc., beginning from one's own body all the way up to the position of Lord Brahma.
So attachment begins from where, dear devotees? It begins from our own body. We think we are the center of the universe. The universe is revolving around us. Tomorrow, if something happens to me, what will happen to the universe? My Diksha Guru, once he told me, he understood my situation. So he told me once, in Hindi he said, कि कभी कभी एक हफ्ते के लिए मर जाना चाहिए. So sometimes you have to die for 1 week. I asked him, I have not heard of dying for 1 week. I was always told you die forever. Don't return back. So he said in Hindi कि ये मोबाइल सब छोड़ के कहीं ऐसी जगह पे चले जाना चाहिए जहाँ किसी के साथ संपर्क नहीं है. So you give up your means of communication, inform your immediate relative, otherwise they will lodge a police complaint. So inform your immediate relatives and give up all your means of communication and disappear for 1 week. And then return back after 1 week, you say, "Arey wow, world is working without me." Here devotees, this is because Dehadi, it begins with one's own body. So Brahma Paryante, and all the way up to the position of Shri Brahma. So this is where the desire to give up this attachment is called as Vairagya. Now, Vairagya is also expertly defined by another Acharya, and this Acharya comes from Ashtanga Yoga tradition. The devotees, he is none other than avatar of Anantashesh, Bhagavan Patanjali. And now Bhagavan Patanjali is such a renowned figure. I will tell you what is the power of Bhagavan Patanjali. He is such a figure, dear devotees, almost 2500 years after he disappeared from this world. How many years have passed since he disappeared? 2500 years. He is ruling over the world even today. Every corner of the world you go, there is a yoga studio. Isn't it? And who is the original Acharya of Ashtanga Yoga in Kali Yuga, Patanjali. This personality, 2500 years after he has left this world, he is ruling over each and every corner of the world by his Ashtanga Yoga Darshan. And they are very much specialized in Vairagya. Devotees, let's hear about the definition of Vairagya from none other than Patanjali Muni. In the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Muni says, please repeat after me. Drishta, Anushravika, Vishaya, Vitrashnasya, Vashikara, Samya, Vairagyam. Dear devotees, till now we heard a general definition of Vairagya. Now hear the brilliant definition of Vairagya from Patanjali Muni. You will say, you will believe the genius of Patanjali Muni once you understand what definition of Vairagya he has given. He says, Drishta. Dear devotees, Drishta means what? Something you see. It is called as Drishta. There are some enjoyments which you directly see in front of you. For example, you go outside, there is a nice ice cream parlor. And it is Drishta. What is it, dear devotees? Drishta. Any enjoyment that you see is called as Drishta. And second type of enjoyment is Anushravika. Some enjoyment which you have not seen, but you have heard in Shastra. If you act piously, you will end up in Swarga. Have you seen this or have you heard of this, dear devotees? So there is some enjoyment which is Drishta. There is some enjoyment which is Anushravika. Anushravika means you have not seen, but you have heard. For example, there are many people in India. They have a desire that I will go to Europe and I will see all the beautiful places in Europe, but they have not yet been there. For them, it is Drishta or Anushravika. But once they end up in Europe, then it becomes what? Drishta. I hope you are able to understand. So this is Drishta, Anushravika, Vishaya, both types of sense objects. Vitrishnasya, one who has given up all desire. But Vairagya is when that it reaches the point of Vashikara Samya. It reaches the level of Vashikara. Which level, dear devotees? Vashikara. So dear devotees, Vairagya is nothing but Vashikara. What is Vairagya in one word? Vashikara. Now what is Vashikara? We didn't understand Patanjali Muni. We didn't understand. So first we will read the translation. Prabhu, please read the translation.
For a person who is devoid of desire of all sense objects that are drishta, seen, and anushravika, heard of, the stage of vashikara is known as Vairagya.
Now, how many of you are interested in knowing what is vashikara? Now you will understand this. Patanjali Muni is not going to make it easy, but he is it's a brilliant mind devotees. Commentators is Sri Vyasadeva on Yoga Sutra. Who is the commentator? Sri Vyasadeva. Sri Vyasadeva in his commentary on the Yoga Sutra is explaining that actually Vairagya appears on 4 levels. Please repeat after me. Yatamana. So first level of Vairagya is Yatamana. A person becomes little detached towards objects of material world because these objects are painful. Little bit detached. They start trying to get detached from each and every object, but they fail repeatedly in their attempts. Yataman in Hindi means they are trying right now. They are on the first level of Vairagya. What is that first level of Vairagya, dear devotees? Yataman Vairagya. This is first level. Right now they are trying, but they are not able to succeed. Yataman Vairagya. Gradually, dear devotees, realization ripens. Kacha mango is turning into Paka mango. Next, dear devotees. Vyatireka is the second level of Vairagya. In this level of Vairagya, they are successfully able to give up one sense object, but they are not able to give up other sense objects. For example, there may be a person who may be able to give up smoking, but they are not able to give up attachment to hearing music. So one is given up, others are not given up. Vyatireka. So one thing has been excluded. Some things are removed, some things are remaining. This second level of Vairagya, what is the name, dear devotees? Vyatireka. Third, dear devotees, please repeat. Ekendriya. Now This person, by passing of time and by experience in the material world, this person is detached from all sense objects. But the attachment is still remaining in one place. In which place is the attachment remaining? The mind. So sometimes he has the curiosity. Oh, I gave up cigarette long ago, but how must it be feeling, So sometimes the mind becomes curious. Should I smoke again? No, no, no. We will not smoke again. Here devotees. So the attachment is now only in ek indriya, in one sense organ. In which sense organ is the attachment remaining? The mind. And when that attachment is finished, even from the mind, and complete control is attained, the final stage of Vairagya. Vashikara. Vashikara is when not even that attachment within the mind is remaining. That, dear devotees, is called as which Vairagya? Vashikara Vairagya. I hope you are able to understand. Yataman is when they are trying but failing everywhere. Vyatirek is one, some sense objects are controlled, some are uncontrolled. Ekendriya means on the gross level you have controlled everything, but the attachment is remaining where, dear devotees? The mind. And Vashikar is when even the mind does not have that attachment. This, dear devotees, is Vairagya. Now once again, dear devotees, please read the translation.
For a person who is devoid of desire for all sense objects that are drishta, seen, and anushravika, heard of, the stage of Vashikara is known as Vairagya.
Which stage is known as Vairagya, dear devotees? Vashikara. Actually speaking, one has not attained true renunciation till they have reached the stage of Vashikara. Till they are not happily, fully detached. If even the attachment is remaining in the mind, it is still ekendriya Vairagya. It is not Vashikara Vairagya. And true Vairagya is Vashikara, when not even the desire within the mind is remaining. Now, I asked you a question in the beginning. Dear devotees, how many of us feel that material facilities are painful? Bolo? Nobody feels, na? Okay. So we will begin now. Now we will begin a surgical analysis. How material facilities are painful. It begins with a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. And we will again bring our specialist Patanjali Muni. He is very nice in convincing us logically how material world is a very painful place. But a devotee Shri Krishna says, misery arises right from pleasures. Here is the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Please sing after me. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga.
Yehi samsparshaja bhoga.
Dukkhayonaya evate.
Dukkhayonaya evate.
Adyantavantah kaunteya.
Adyantavantah kaunteya.
Nateshu ramade buddha.
Nateshu ramade buddha.
Devotees, Bhagavan says, Yehi bhoga, all those enjoyments, samsparshaja, which are born out of contact with the sense objects, sense organs. Devotees, there are many enjoyments which walk away in front of us and we don't even notice. For example, what is sparsha? Sparsha is contact. But Bhagavan is not using the term sparsha. Bhagavan is using samsparsha. When the contact happens very nicely. I will tell you an example. For example, there are many cars on the street and we see many cars. So aren't our eyes coming in contact with the cars? Yes or no? This is called as sparsha. But if our eye comes in contact with a special type of car which we are desiring, then it turns from sparsha into what, dear devotees? Samsparsha. That Tesla car. I hope you are able, huh? I wanted this. So other cars, I don't want sparsha. But the latest Tesla car, samsparsha. Now, yehi samsparshaja bhoga. Suddenly, that enjoyment arises. From that very source of enjoyment, dukkha yonaya, that very source of enjoyment is the yoni. Yoni is the place of birth of dukkha. The very source of enjoyment becomes the source of dukkha. Alright, devotees. Can you, some of you, please tell me what are common sources of enjoyment in the world? Please tell me. Bolo.
Entertainment.
Netflix. अरे वाह, हाँ, चलो. Anything else? Food. Anything else? Huh? Money. Money is the means to purchase enjoyment. You can't rub money and be happy like that. Money is the means to purchase. Huh? Clothing. Okay. Huh?
Vacation.
Vacation. Achha, see how many we are. Rag is so natural for us. We are remembering so many things. So dear devotees, that's it. Remember your favorite source of enjoyment in your mind. I am not going to ask you. Think of your favorite source of enjoyment in your mind. Now Bhagavan is saying from that very source of enjoyment, misery will arise. Adi Antavantah. All enjoyments are anyways having a beginning and an end. O Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, na teshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person doesn't take relishment, delight in them. The intelligent person doesn't take delight. The ordinary person may take delight. The intelligent person doesn't take delight in sense pleasures. This is in the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhu, kindly read Srila Prabhupada's translation.
An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them.
How many of us are convinced that, this is Krishna is saying, how many of us are convinced that pleasures are nothing but sources of pain?
I feel like that.
Achha, she has a vague feeling that it is like that.
Because when we study, then
Yeah.
you can have that feeling at that moment, but when you are living and you are using it, you don't feel like that.
Achha, wonderful, wonderful. See, right now nobody raised their hands. That's no problem. I understand. But now I will introduce Patanjali Muni. Okay, he will explain to you. Because Srila Prabhupada says, as soon as one has proper knowledge, Vairagya comes as a side effect. Okay? Now let's introduce Patanjali Muni. Patanjali Muni says that in this world, whenever you come in contact with any object of enjoyment, like she said Netflix or anything, he says there are three types of dukkha, three types of unhappiness that start happening. Now I will give the three types of unhappiness that start three types of suffering. But we will take one common example, which is the most common example in this world, that a girl and boy who are deeply in love with each other, and they get married to each other. Their devotees, is this happiness or suffering? What is it? Give one confident answer. I have described the best scenario. The girl and boy are deeply, madly in love with each other.
After how many years?
We don't want to add any other details. They just got married. Okay? Is it happiness or suffering? Oh, wonderful happiness.
Beginning of suffering.
Acha. We already have convinced people in that. People are already convinced. Anyways, Patanjali Muni says there are three types of suffering that can happen. And please hear the names properly and please memorize if you want to get devotees. Right? Please repeat after me. Parinama Dukkha.
Parinama Dukkha
Is the first type of misery that can happen in any happiness. I will take the example of this first, the relationship between boy and girl. Parinam is transformation. Originally it started with happiness, gradually it transformed into misery. Example, girl and boy were deeply in love with each other. They got married. After 2 years, the girl got cancer. She lost all her hair. Or the boy suddenly lost all his hair. He had wonderful hair when he got married. After 2 years, he got such a headache and such stress at work, he lost all his hair. It started with happiness. Parinam gradually transformed into misery, suffering. This is the first type of misery that may occur in any source of happiness. This is called as which dukkha, dear devotees? Parinam dukkha, the misery of transformation. Now some people are thinking, Acha, what is the probability that this will happen with me? Huh? It will not happen with me. Parinam or transformation of happiness into suffering happens with some people. Maybe I will escape that. So Patanjali Muni says, don't worry. Second misery is waiting for you. Tapa dukkha.
Tapa dukkha.
Tapa dukkha is misery which is experienced while you are enjoying. In the process of enjoyment, some misery is experienced. This is called as which dukkha, dear devotees? Achha, I will give another example of this. Let's say there is a person who is deeply attached to smoking cigarettes. He has smoked cigarettes for so many years. Every day he needs one packet of cigarettes. Otherwise his day will not go peacefully. So one fine day, he comes home in the evening and he opens the cupboard and he sees there is only one cigarette remaining. So for tomorrow he needs to refill. So he has to go to the gas station to refill, dear devotees. He says, I will take a shower and I will go to the gas station and I will refill packet for tomorrow. So he takes a shower and when he comes out, suddenly he hears on the television, the government has made a notice, COVID-19, everything is shut down. How many cigarettes are remaining for tomorrow? So tomorrow comes. Now the gas station is not working and you can't get a cigarette. So that one cigarette is remaining there. So he takes that cigarette and he lights that cigarette. Now while smoking that cigarette, is he going to be happy or is he going to suffer? Please tell me. But he is enjoying, he is smoking the cigarette. Is he going to be happy or is he going to suffer? So suffering that occurs in the process of enjoyment is the second type of suffering. What is that known as, devotees? And now somebody may say, Acha, what is the possibility that this will happen with me? I will escape this also. My enjoyment will not be obstructed by anything. Devotees, Patanjali Muni says, wonderful. Even if that is the case, if your enjoyment remains completely unobstructed, still there is a third type of misery waiting for you. Devotees, please repeat after me. Samskara dukkha.
Samskara dukkha.
I will explain what is samskara dukkha. We will come back to the example of the boy and the girl. The boy and girl who were deeply in love with each other, they got married. Oh my goodness, such compatibility, they lived their entire life happily. Not a single misery. How many of you want such a relationship in life? Please raise your hands. How many people want that? Very well. You are already married. So, we pray you get such a relationship. Okay? Imagine that you have such a relationship with that person. From beginning till end, there was no misery at all. Unadulterated happiness. Alright? Patanjali Muni says, every happiness that you experience creates a samskar, an impression within your heart. And this impression is called as samskar. So after lifetime of experiencing only happiness, finally one day we have to die. And then we will take next life. And in next life we may get another partner. Now that partner may not be, I hope you are able to understand, that partner may not be so compatible. But samskars from previous life are telling us, partner should be like this. So our samskars of happiness from previous life are giving us pain in which life? Next life. This is called as which dukkha, devotees? Samskar. Every time you experience any happiness, the heart says, yeah, it should feel like this. I hope you are able to understand. And next time you don't get it, is it happiness or suffering? In my own life, I experienced this very small thing. First time I came to the US, somebody gave me pink coconut water. It is available here. How many of you know? Those of you who don't know? I also did not know. First time got pink coconut water. When I had pink coconut water, it was heavenly in taste. You can get in the superstore, you can try. But you are preparing yourself for samskar dukha. Already. So I had a pink coconut water. And I really liked it. Throughout my journey, I requested devotees, can you get pink coconut water? Then I went back to India. There is no pink coconut water. I am asking many shop people, do you have pink coconut water? You are mad or what? What is pink coconut water? So, it's only available, I only saw it here. It comes from Thailand. It's pink colored coconut water. So, it's available here in the superstore. But when I went back, I am suffering because I am not getting pink coconut water. So dear devotees, this is Parinam Dukh, Tap Dukh or Samskar Dukh. Which Dukh? Samskar. Achha, I will tell you what is Tap Dukh. Next time I came to the US, when I went back to India, I took one bottle of pink coconut water. So taking back one bottle of, is it Parinam Dukh, Tap Dukh or Samskar Dukh? Tap Dukh. So much in enjoyment, there is so much suffering, dear devotees. Achha. Now I will ask you the same question again. Sri Krishna says in the Gita, from the very sources of enjoyment, suffering arises. Now how many of you agree? Please raise your hands. This is the power of Patanjali Muni. See, I told you, he is ruling all over the world today because he has the logical capability to convince you.
Hare Krishna. So is it not like that in the entire existence, anything you go with, always sukha and dukkha will go with you? So I don't think anything is
Of course. So the sooner you realize this, that as soon as you select sukha, you are automatically selecting what?
Yes, dukkha.
Dukkha.
Yes. So everything. I don't
Everything,
think anything
of course.
is-
Should I tell you one secret? Sukha is actually dukkha, and dukkha is actually sukha. And you may ask me how. I will tell you. Sukha is dukkha when sukha goes away, and dukkha is sukha when dukkha goes away. I hope you are able to understand. That is how sukha is dukkha, dukkha is sukha. Very simple formula in the material world. But Sri Krishna had said something, and Prabhu, kindly read the last sentence.
O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them.
The wise person does not delight. This is Sri Krishna's instruction. Wise person, because the person who is not wise, even after Patanjali Muni will tell him, they will say, no, I have hopes in the material world. Achha. So to that person you say, best of luck, no problem. You go ahead with your experience in the world. Time is a very good teacher. Okay? For some people, they don't learn by instruction. Some people, they learn only by what? Time. They learn only by time. Time is a very good teacher for some people. But how many of you feel convinced by the arguments given by Patanjali Muni that all happiness here is suffering? Please raise your hands. That is what it is. Dear devotees, see one slide and everybody's hand is raised. And previously I asked, nobody was raising their hand. See, Patanjali Muni's convincing capability is such that if you understand through Shastra, you become convinced. Now, dear devotees, please never forget the three types of dukkha that exist in the world. What are the three types of dukkha, dear devotees? Parinam dukkha, tap dukkha, samskara. Right? These are the three types of dukkha. Okay? And all three types of dukkha can be explained with the example of pink coconut water. Very simple. I got pink coconut water, I took to India. By the time I took to India, it got spoiled and rotten. Which dukkha, dear devotees? Parinam dukkha. I took pink coconut water but only took one bottle to India. Which dukkha, dear devotees? Tap dukkha. And I enjoyed many bottles of pink coconut water here, and I didn't take anything back to India. Which dukkha, dear devotees? Samskara dukkha. So using one simple example of pink coconut water, you can understand all three types of dukkha in the material world, dear devotees. Okay? Yes.
So should one like not enjoy anything in India?
Wonderful. See, intelligent question. question, should one not enjoy anything in the material world? Srila Prabhupada would say, material world is not a fit place for a gentleman. Isn't it? Even if there is enjoyment in the material world, a devotee enjoys without becoming attached to the enjoyment. That is the attitude of the devotee. See how important Vairagya is. Vairagya prevents unnecessary suffering in this world. Now, dear devotees, now that we understand the value of Vairagya, how many of us would like to take our Vairagya to the highest possible limit? Please raise our hands. Achha. When you start renouncing things one after the other in the material world, you become more and more detached, because in each and everything you begin to see suffering. In the Yoga Sutra, Sri Vyasadeva quotes us real life incident that occurred. There were two sages, two rishis, and one of the rishi was named Jaigi Shavya and another rishi was named Avatya. Jaigi Shavya and Avatya. And I will tell you, dear devotees, please hear this pastime very clearly. Sri Vyasadeva describes this pastime in the commentary to Yoga Sutra. Jaigi Shavya Muni was a realized Muni who could see his past lives for 10 lifetimes of Brahma. How many past lives he could see? For 10 lifetimes of Brahma. That was Jaigi Shavya Muni. Avatya Muni was also a realized person, but he had not seen his previous lives. So Avatya Muni went to Jaigi Shavya Muni and he asked Jaigi Shavya Muni, Jaigi Shavya Muni, you see all your past lives for the previous 10 Brahma's lifetimes and you are still here in the material world. And you had many lives, sometimes as an insect, sometimes as a bird, sometimes as an animal, sometimes as a human, sometimes as a devata. You had all these experiences, sometimes as a tree. Please tell me, Jaigi Shavya Muni, what was greater, happiness or suffering? So Jaigi Shavya Muni, he thought about it and said, you are correct. I have experienced so many millions and millions of lives. Sometimes I was a bird, sometimes I was a tree, sometimes animal, sometimes insect, sometimes human, sometimes a devata. And I will tell you my collective experience. After seeing everything, I will tell you, Dukkhameva sarvam pratyavaimi. It was all suffering. There was no happiness there. This, dear devotees, was the realization of Jaigi Shavya. It was all suffering. There is no happiness that I experienced. Even that so-called happiness which was experienced today, I see it as suffering and nothing else. It was all suffering. Dukkhameva sarvam pratyavaimi. That is the exact Sanskrit which Jaigi Shavya Muni says. Dukkhameva sarvam pratyavaimi. It was all suffering. But dear devotees, the more and more we try to renounce this world, the more and more detached we will become. But Shri Krishna comes and says, stop, stop. Before you try to detach too much, please hear something from me. Dear devotees, Shri Krishna says something to Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. Please sing after me. Tasman madbhakti yuktasya yogino vai madatmanah na jnanam na cha vairagyam prayah shreyo bhavediha. Till now we were thinking Vairagya is very nice, but Sri Krishna has used one word with Vairagya. What did he say for Vairagya? Na. What is meaning of na? Same meaning in Sanskrit and English. Okay? Na jnanam na cha vairagyam prayah shreyo bhavediha. Prabhu, kindly read the translation.
Therefore, for a devotee engaged in my loving service, with mind fixed on me, the cultivation of jnana, knowledge, and vairagya, renunciation, is generally not the means of achieving the highest perfection within this world.
So, but we were thinking that becoming detached is very nice. But Sri Krishna says, stop. When you try to overdo detachment, there is a problem. And what is the problem? Now I am explaining, dear devotees. Many times, even amongst devotees, people think unlimited detachment is best for bhakti. But this is not the case. Detachment also till a certain point is needed. Beyond that, even detachment and renunciation goes against bhakti. Now, I am going to explain how this works. Please hear carefully, devotees. A person becomes detached because they start seeing suffering in each and everything in the world. Like Jagishavya Muni saw suffering in each and every lifetime that he has had. Even the happiness he started perceiving as what? Suffering. So everything he starts seeing as sources of suffering. He starts becoming more and more detached, more and more detached, more and more detached. And dear devotees, when a devotee starts becoming more and more detached, they start scraping their heart with the sandpaper of Vairagya. Alright? And then what happens is, gradually they become completely joyless in the world. There is no joy remaining in the world for them. And this attitude is not recommended for the devotee. Because the path of devotion is not a path of rejecting the world. The path of devotion is a path of accepting everything in relationship with Sri Krishna. If you reject things of the world thinking that they are painful, then you will never be able to dovetail them in the seva of Sri Krishna. Therefore, a person who scrapes his heart too much with Vairagya, gradually they lose so much taste for everything that even when you speak katha of bhakti, these people don't take interest even in hearing katha of bhakti. They are so detached that they don't take any pleasure even in hearing about the pastimes and the qualities of Bhagavan. So dear devotees, how many of us would like to have such detachment where we are not even taking pleasure in the pastimes of Bhagavan? Anybody would like to have such detachment in them? For this reason Shri Krishna is saying, Na jnanam na cha vairagyam. Too much impersonal knowledge and too much detachment is harmful for bhakti. Is harmful for bhakti. Dear devotees, Sri Rupa Goswami also confirms this in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Please sing after me. Yad ubhe chitta kaఠిన్య hetu prayah satamate sukumar svabhaveyam bhaktistaddhe turirita yad ubhe chitta kaఠిన్య. Does anybody know what is the meaning of chitta? Heart. And what is kathin? Hard. Kaఠిన్య. Sri Rupa Goswami is saying yad ubhe chitta kaఠిన్య. Because of too much renunciation, something will become hard. What will become hard, devotees? Heart will become very hard. Chitta kaఠిన్య. Hetu praya satamade. Therefore, those who are intelligent devotees, they don't cultivate renunciation too much. Sukumara svabhava iyam. Bhakti is sukumar svabhava, very gentle in nature. She doesn't need support from external vairagya. Bhakti stad hetu ririta. Bhakti can produce natural vairagya. Bhakti doesn't need any external vairagya. I hope you are able to understand. Bhakti can produce her own natural vairagya. Bhakti doesn't need any external vairagya. Here is the translation. Please read.
In the opinion of the great sages, the over-cultivation of jnana and vairagya are both not recommended since they harden the heart. Instead, Bhakti Devi, who is very soft and gentle in nature, is the cause of development of Bhakti herself.
So dear devotees, when you practice Bhakti, Bhakti is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedana. These are the only things we need to practice. If we separately cultivate Vairagya, it will start going against our Bhakti. But simply practicing Shravanam, Kirtanam, it will bring natural Vairagya, and that natural Vairagya will not harden our heart. I hope you are able to understand. Now I will explain with the help of an example what is the difference between artificial cultivation of Vairagya and natural Vairagya that arises from Bhakti. For example, dear devotees, there is a particular person who wants to get detached from the world, and therefore this person starts thinking, artificially starts thinking, that I wish to get detached from all loving relationships in life. Because all objects of pleasure are actually sources of what?
Dukkha.
Misery, dukkha. And which, how many types of dukkha, dear devotees?
Three.
What are the three?
Parinam,
Kara, samskar. So everything is miserable. My relationship is also miserable. Let me get detached from this. Dear devotees, he artificially tries externally for Vairagya. It will end up in one result. Something will become very hard. What will become very hard? Heart will become very hard. But this heart is the place which can be used to relish Krishna Bhakti. Now, will such a person be able to relish Krishna Bhakti easily? No. Acha. Now, let's say this person, instead of externally trying for Vairagya, this person goes directly for Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, he does Shravanam Kirtanam. He hears, he sings, and then he realizes that relationship with Krishna is actually much more joyous than the material relationships. I hope you are able to understand. Relationship with Bhagavan is actually much more joyous than material relationships. Now, did he have to scrape his heart with Vairagya for this? He naturally came out of it, dear devotees. Alright? This is Bhakti. I will explain with the help of a simple example. I gave the example of a balloon for a child. If a child is having a balloon in his hand and you forcibly pull away that balloon from them, how will the child feel? So that is Vairagya. I hope you are able to understand. What is that? Vairagya. Now, dear devotees, if a child has a balloon in hand and if you bring a bigger balloon and the child looks at the big balloon and catches it, and meanwhile he lets go of the other balloon, dear devotees, that is equal to cultivation of what? Which yoga, dear devotees? Bhakti yoga. I hope you are able to understand. Very simple example, you can understand. So, which form of renunciation would you prefer? Vairagya through Bhakti yoga or Vairagya through Ashtanga yoga? Which form would you prefer? So, in Bhakti yoga, a higher example is first shown. A higher taste is first shown. And on the strength of that higher taste, a person naturally gives up something lower. Achha. Today, as grown-up adults, how many of you are attached to a balloon? No? Why? Because balloon was forcibly taken from you, or because you developed a higher taste? I hope you are able to understand. So similarly, this is the natural and organic way of Vairagya. The natural and organic way of Vairagya is to engage in Bhakti Yoga and to see that there are higher eternal pleasures in a relationship with Sri Krishna, and these pleasures don't result in any misery whatsoever. In fact, any so-called misery in Krishna Lila is actually immense pleasure. Even the separation in Krishna Lila is actually immense pleasure. Because it comes through the framework of ras. Through which framework does it come? Ras. Ras is the most joyous thing. It can turn even suffering into happiness. Look at the nature of the material world. The material world turns happiness into suffering. Look at the nature of ras. Ras turns suffering into happiness. And I will explain with the help of an example how ras turns into suffering into happiness. In my childhood, my father would often take me to watch many dramas. And because I come from Maharashtrian culture, there are many dramas, stage plays there. So in my childhood, I used to watch many dramas. My father once took me to watch a drama of Ramayana, Ram Leela. And in that drama, there was one wonderful scene going on. This was the scene of Bharat Milap. Bharat Milap is when Bharat finally comes to the forest in order to convince Bhagwan Ram to give up his vow and return back to the kingdom to accept the position of the king. So Bharat came to know, Bharat was not even aware that Ram has been sent to the forest. Bharat was away. And when Bharat came back, Dashrath Maharaj had passed away. So, and all the queens were crying like anything. The residents of Ayodhya are in deep pain. Bharat Maharaj took the responsibility of going there and convincing Bhagwan Ram. So Bharat Maharaj comes in front of Bhagwan Ram, and Bhagwan Ram sees everybody is crying, and he asks Bharat what happened. And Bharat tells him that actually our father passed away. So Bhagwan Ram starts crying at that point of time. And then he says to Bharat, you should rule the kingdom. because this was the last thing I promised my father. This was the last thing I promised, and I will not go back on my word. So after that, Bharat tries to convince him a lot, but Bhagwan Ram doesn't agree. Finally, Bhagwan Ram agrees for one thing: you can take something as a representative of me. What can you take as a representative of me? Paduka, slippers. So Bharat takes the slippers, puts it on his head, and then Bharat turns towards the direction of Ayodhya. The devotees, as soon as in the drama, as soon as Bharat turned towards the direction of Ayodhya, all the residents of Ayodhya start crying loudly, because they know that because Bharat is turning back towards Ayodhya, it is an indicator of one thing: for 14 years we will not get to see whom? Bhagwan. Everybody on the stage, all the residents of Ayodhya started crying. The devotees, people in the audience also started crying. Achha, is it happiness or suffering? Hey, bolo. Suffering in happiness. If it would have happened with us, not with Bhagwan Ram, would we call it happiness or suffering? Undiluted suffering. Now we are seeing it in relationship with Bhagwan's Leela. And when Bharat is crying, everybody is crying, the person next to me was also crying. Many years later I thought, why was he crying? His brother was sitting right next to him. His brother was sitting right next to him. Why is he crying? Dear devotees, after everybody watched that drama, they came out, and you know what was one thing they said? It was such a nice drama, I would want to watch it again. Acha, but what was shown in the drama? Happiness or suffering? Why do they want to watch it again? How many of you want to go through suffering again and again? No, no? But when it is shown through the framework of rasa, in the relationship with Bhagwan, even suffering turns into what? Happiness. This, dear devotees, is a big secret. Please meditate over this. In Bhagwan's pastimes, suffering is actually the greatest happiness. There's a reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent the last 12 years of his life relishing union or separation. What was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Separation. Why? Separation is suffering or happiness?
Happiness.
So this is how Bhagwan's pastimes, Bhakti, turns even the greatest suffering into what? Happiness. And the material world turns even the greatest happiness into what? Suffering. So therefore the pristine path to be followed is Bhakti Yoga. Any external attempts that we make for Vairagya other than Bhakti, these attempts will actually go against our Bhakti. We only need to do Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma, Nivedanam. Once we do this, that it will automatically ensure that we are naturally detached by seeing a higher taste. And when we see a higher taste, we will automatically give up the lower taste, and Vairagya will be attained very smoothly. Very smoothly. Devotees. Alright, so this is what it is. Do we have time? Few more minutes? Yes, sir. Okay. I will, one last example, I always like to give this example. In the Mahabharata, there are many Gitas. Many Gitas. Bhagavad Gita is the most prominent Gita in the Mahabharata. But there are other Gitas which Krishna has spoken in the Mahabharata. More than 20 Gitas are there in the Mahabharata. Small Gitas. One such Gita is called, please repeat, Kam Gita. Kam Gita is spoken by Shri Krishna himself. Krishna is speaking on behalf of Kamadev. Kamadev is that deity in this world who is in charge of making sure that opposite genders are attracted to each other. That is Kamadev in this particular world. So Kama Gita is one very important Gita in the Mahabharata. In Kama Gita, Kamadev says, Naham Shakyonupayena Hantum Bhutena Kenachit Yoma Prayagate Hantum Yatva Praharane Balam Tasya Tasmin Praharane Punah Pradu Bhavamyaham. So he says, Kamadev says, if anybody, now how many of us want to overcome lust? Please raise your hands. Are wow. Dear devotees, if Kamadev says, if somebody tries to overcome lust, Kam, he says, and if you use any artificial technique, Kamadev says, I am laughing in the background. Because I will enter into that very technique and conquer you instead. I will give you an example of this, very simple. For example, Prabhu, your name Prabhuji?
Nand Maharaj.
Nand Maharaj, sorry, Nand Maharaj Prabhu. Nand Maharaj Prabhu, one day I become very inspired, I want to give up calm, lust. And I come to you, Prabhu, I have this desire, I want to give up calm. Is it a good desire, yes or no, Prabhuji? Tell me.
It's a good desire.
Very good. So, Prabhu, I have made a decision. From today, I will sleep on the floor and eat only once a day. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay, chal. Wonderful. Now it is sanctioned. So I will sleep on the floor and eat only how many times a day? Once. So I have, instead of using Bhakti Yoga, I am here using Ashtanga Yoga. I hope you are able to understand, huh? Because this is not part of Bhakti Yoga. Sleeping on the floor and eating once a day is not part of Bhakti Yoga. It is part of which yoga? Ashtanga. I am now using Ashtanga Yoga to conquer my senses. So from that day I begin. So day one passes and I feel happy about, I feel confident. Chalo, now I am about to defeat Kamdev. 1 year like this and Kamdev will be defeated. So second day passes, third day passes. Oh, believe it or not, 1 month passes. Wow, Prabhuji. Then I come to you, Prabhuji. 1 month has passed. Arey wow. In my mind, an impression is growing. Now I am no longer Hari Parshad Das. I am Hari Parshad Das once a day sleeping on the floor. Okay, this is the impression that is growing in my mind. So Kamdev is laughing, right? Then after a few days, a particular lady comes to me and says, Prabhuji, I have heard great glories of you. That you eat only once a day and sleep on the floor. Can you teach me how you achieved this? And then they lived happily ever after. He enters into the very means by which you are conquering him. And he gives you the ego that you have won. And through that very ego he conquers you again. This is which Gita in the Mahabharata devotees? Kama Gita. What a very important lesson in the Mahabharata. Kama Gita. So there is only one way of conquering Kama. The one way is through Bhakti Yoga. Because when you become attached to Shri Krishna, who is known as Ananga, who is actually Madan Mohan, who can actually put Kama also into delusion. That is your higher test, and that will be your permanent relief from all sorts of karma. Any other solution, Kamdev is laughing in the background because he will enter into the solution and conquer you instead. So dear devotees, I hope that I was able to explain something about Bhakti and Vairagya. In summary, I will tell you. Vairagya comes from the term Virag, but Virag comes from the term Rag. What is the meaning of Rag? Attachment. What is Virag?
Non-attachment.
Non-attachment. And what is repulsion in Sanskrit? Dvesh. There is a difference between Dvesh and Vairagya. There is a difference between that. Now, Vairagya occurs in a person when he reaches the fourth stage known as Vashikar. Which stage it is? Vashikar. Vashikar is the stage when not even the desire is remaining within the mind. No desire is remaining within the mind. That is Vashikar. How does a person realize this? By gradually understanding that the material world is a painful place. The material world is painful because from the very sources of happiness something arises. What arises from the very sources of happiness? Misery. How many types of misery? 3. What are the 3 types of misery? Parinam Dukha, Tap Dukha. All 3 can be understood with the help of which thing they are devotees? All 3 can be understood with the help. My example in my personal life, I am realized person in that department. So drink coconut water. You can read. I will just summarize it. And then, so you can get more and more detached from this world gradually. But for a devotee, is separate cultivation of Vairagya recommended by Bhagavan? No. Why is separate cultivation of Vairagya unfavorable? Because it does something to the heart. What does it do to the heart? Heart. And the heart is the place from where you can relish Bhakti ras. So don't harden that heart, because that heart will become hard and you will not be able to relish Bhakti ras. So instead, natural Vairagya should be cultivated by practicing which yoga? Bhakti yoga will first give you the higher taste, and by higher taste you can easily give up the lower taste. I hope you are able to understand. But this, dear devotees, was the sum and substance of this particular talk. Thank you very much, devotees. Yes. See, very Mataji's question is that pink coconut water we can enjoy after offering to Krishna. Mataji, we have to understand one thing. The moment we think even of Prashad as enjoyment, the moment Patanjali Muni's rules start applying. And Patanjali Muni didn't make those rules. Bhagavan made those rules and he simply observed them and brilliantly explained them to us. Prashad is also seva. I hope you are able to understand. Prashad is also what? Seva. For a devotee, Prashad is not bhoga. For a devotee, Prashad is seva. When a devotee eats something which is very tasty, so the devotee feels happiness. But there is some alarm clock in the mind of the devotee. Although this is happiness, and I am not going to reject this happiness, but I am also not going to become attached to this too much. This is the instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to Raghunath Das Goswami. I am pulling out the instruction. Dear devotees, please sing after me Mahaprabhu's instruction to Raghunath Das Goswami, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 16.238. Markata Vairagya na kara,
Markata Vairagya na kara,
Loka dekhaiya,
Loka dekhaiya,
Yatha yogya vishay gunja,
Yatha yogya vishay gunja,
Anasakta haiya,
Anasakta haiya.
Prabhu, please read the translation.
You should not make yourself a show bottle devotee and become a false renunciate. For the time being, enjoy the material world in a befitting way and do not become attached to it.
For the time being, you will have enjoyment, but do not become attached. All that effort spent in cultivating Bhakti Yoga, higher taste of Bhakti Yoga. Alright, so this is what. For the time being, you will have pink, after offering to Bhagavan pink coconut water, you will get pink, 100% pink coconut water back. So now, once you are drinking it, there is going to be experience of enjoyment. But the mind should have some, in the subconscious mind, there should be one little thought, that in the subconscious mind, that this is not something to be attached to. That's it. Thoda detachment is needed for that. I hope you are able to understand. Then you can enjoy also, but that enjoyment comes with that inherent feeling that I should not become attached to this enjoyment. Then you are free. Okay? That is the yes, Mataji.
So when you said that in suffering we will have a happiness, right? Prabhuji, like a Bharat and
That is in connection with Bhagwan.
Bhagwan, yes, connection with Bhagwan. So only that part of like actions will be have a suffering and happiness, Prabhuji. Like that, because it is like a and Bharat one is like a away from the Bhagwan, right? Now he is coming back to earth here. Means in that part of the portion only we will feel suffering and happiness, or in every story of Krishna, Rama, we will feel the same.
In every pastime of Bhagwan, wherever there is separation,
Separation, right?
we will feel that transcendental joy of happiness. I want to quote here Laghu Bhagavatamritam, commentary by Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan. So I will quote here the original commentary of Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan on Laghu Bhagavatamritam. Every time it is addressing, yeah, here it is. Okay. So please repeat after me. Vraje prakatalilayam
Vraje prakatalilayam
Trinmasan viraho muna
Trinmasan viraho muna
Vraje is which place, Mataji? Vrindavan. Vrindavan. Prakatalilayam, when Krishna appeared 5000 years ago. Trinmasan viraho. He left Vraja and there was viraha. What is viraha? Separation. Alright, so separation was there. In the commentary, Sri Baldev Vidyabhushan explains. Please repeat after me. Iti viraha ananda aswada nirbharo viraha ananda aswada nirbharo. So the profuse shower of the bliss of suffering in separation. I hope you are able to understand. Huh? So even at that suffering is actually one of the highest enjoyments that can be had. And I explained only through one small example. Please remember that example of that Ram Leela drama. It is the framework of ras which changes the greatest suffering into happiness. Achha, if you don't understand this example, I will give you an example from material world. Sometimes even in the material world, suffering appears as happiness. How many of you would like to understand how suffering is happiness sometimes in the material? I'll give a very crude example. I come from Mumbai. Mumbai is the city which has taken responsibility of spoiling entire India. Which industry is there in Mumbai? So all of you are well aware. I won't ask you the details. So dear devotees, every year in Bollywood there are thousands of songs that are churned out, love songs, which come out every year. These songs can be categorized into broadly two types: songs of union, happy songs of union, and sad songs of separation. Now, can you imagine which songs are appreciated more? Happy songs or sad songs? Sad songs. All of you are receiving. I don't need to tell you more. Why are sad songs appreciated more than happy songs?
They can relate. They can relate to people.
Sad songs should generate sadness or sad songs should generate happiness? See, you can put any sugar coating out. Sad songs should generate sadness or sad songs should generate happiness? So why would anybody be attached to listening to a sad song? Arey wah! Even in the material world, there are some things which, although externally appear as sadness, but they end up generating what? What to speak of the spiritual world? Viraha, Ananda, Aswada, Nirbharo. All that suffering is actually nothing but great happiness. Alright, now by understanding through these material examples, things become more and more clear. Alright, so this is it. When Prabhu, you tell me when to stop, otherwise we will keep till 12 o'clock.
Can go on.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, but in all these examples, the suffering you are saying about watching others suffering. What about like when it happens to me?
So nice. What a nice question. In all these examples, you are watching somebody else suffer. But when you are watching somebody else suffer, why are you crying? Isn't it? I am giving let's take the example of Ram Leela drama. Why was the person sitting next to me crying? Let's think about it. Why was the person sitting next to me crying? So, the acharyas of drama, acharyas of kavya, poetry, Bharat Muni, who is very worshipable for Sri Rupa Goswami. He explains this thing. Please hear carefully. When you are looking at a drama, you start empathizing with one of the characters on the stage. This creates what is called as Sahridayata. Sahridayata, one in heart. You become one in heart with that person. And when there is Sahridayata, one in heart, you are with any particular character. The emotions that are flowing in their heart, a copy of that emotion starts flowing in your heart. In technical language, it is called Sadharanikaran. A generalized version of the emotion of the actor starts flowing in the heart of the member of the audience. But because it is coming through a framework of rasa, and because you are feeling non-different from that actor, even though it is suffering, but because it goes through the framework of rasa, this suffering turns into what? Happiness. That moment when he was crying, he was not thinking that I am an individual different from Bharat. He was absorbed so much in the mood of Bharat that he was thinking as if my brother is leaving me. Prabhu, he was not observing as a third person. He was absorbed as if it is happening to him first person. But still, the framework of ras is such that it is capable of turning the highest suffering into the highest bliss. Ras is one of the only few non-material objects in this material world. Please try to understand this. Ras is one of the very few non-material objects in the material world. Very few people understand this principle. The material world is a place which turns happiness into what?
Suffering.
Misery. And the spiritual world is a place which turns misery into what?
Happiness.
But there is a framework which is involved in turning misery into happiness. What is the name of that framework? Ras. This framework many people are not able to understand. Only those who are very intelligent, connoisseurs of art, connoisseurs of bhakti, they are able to understand this particular framework. Sri Rupa Goswami named his central literature, the most magnum opus of Sri Rupa Goswami has this term ras in it. What is the most important literature given by Sri Rupa Goswami?
Bhakti Rasa.
Bhakti
Rasa.
Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Can you imagine the importance, supreme importance of the principle of ras, that Sri Rupa Goswami has to give it a central place in the name of his most important literature, Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Anybody who understands this framework of ras will know how to stay happy in this world without being touched by parinam dukkha, tav dukkha, samskar dukkha. That's an intelligent devotee. And anybody who is not so intelligent will try to enjoy in the world and then suffer from parinam dukkha, tav dukkha, samskar dukkha. How many of you are convinced? Please raise your hands. Oh, wonderful. Wow. See? Yes.
Are we saying that there is not going to be end of dukkha? Like there is always going to be birth? Isn't Krishna says that if you believe in me after bhakti, you won't take like rejanam in this world, and that's so.
So your question is it there going to be any end of suffering? Of course there will be. Once you attain Krishna Prem, once you become so absorbed in the in Bhakti Ras that you achieve Krishna Prem, there is not going to be any more birth for you. Then there is a separate spiritual world where none of the rules of the material world apply. And in that spiritual world it is said, Natyam Ganam Gamanam. Every word is a song, every step is a dance, and there is rasa flowing in each and every corner of that particular spiritual world. There is absolutely no material unhappiness there. And any suffering that exists there also is actually the greatest happiness. This, if you understand, then you will know that there is such a world which you can go to after mukti, after liberation. Right? Yes.
So, prabhuji, when you gave the example of like the pride that develops when like sleeping on the floor, like when we're trying to get that. So how can we prevent that pride from developing when we're doing this?
Wonderful. So in the Kam Gita, it was described that pride develops when you try to take shelter of any instrument to conquer Kam. The question is, how do you not get affected by that pride? Don't take any external instrument to defeat karma. Very simple. Don't take any help of any external instrument to defeat Kamadeva. Just take help of one system of yoga. Which system of yoga? Bhakti yoga. So you are following the natural process of increasing taste. Then you don't have that I did something which 100 people did not do. I hope you. Why does one develop pride? I did something special which other people did not do. So that pride develops. I am sleeping on the floor and eating once a day. So that pride develops because of this. Don't develop that pride. Follow Bhakti yoga, Shravanam Kirtanam, and do it properly. Develop higher taste and finish the business. That's all. Yes.
So, while doing devotional service, also one may get pride. Like, let's say, Shravana Kirtana, and when somebody starts doing Kirtan, he may get proud. I am the Kirtana.
So even while performing Bhakti, somebody may get pride, doing Shravana Kirtan, etc. But at least if the mind is fixed that this is Bhakti not for conquering Kamadeva, Bhakti is for pleasure of Shri Krishna. Because conquering of Kamadeva is a side effect. It should not be made the main goal of Bhakti. As long as the main goal is clear, I am performing Shravan Kirtan for whose pleasure? Krishna's pleasure. As long as that main goal is there, sometimes some occasional pride arises, Bhagavan will again put it down. It is Bhagavan who will put it down. Because this time you are not dealing with Kamadeva. This time you are dealing with Shri Krishna. So, there is a verse in the Bhagavatam, Nija Janasmaya Dvamsanasmita. Simply by your smile you crush the pride of your devotees. Very nice in the Gopalgita, there is that verse. Nija Janasmaya Dvamsanasmita. If any pride arises, Bhagavan will make some situation by which that pride will go away. But Bhagavan will not let you fall in the material world. Gradually you will progress. So there is no risk in following Bhakti Yoga in that regard. Yes.
So Ashtanga Yoga, right? It's 8-step process, right? Niyama, so if a person is following naturally all this process, then his heart also become hard.
Yeah, yes. If a person follows Ashtanga Yoga,
Yeah, all the
yeah, does his heart become hard? Of course, there is every possibility of the heart becoming hard because the first two limbs are Yam and Niyam. What is Yam and Niyam? Rules and regulations. The rules and regulations are so stringent in Ashtanga Yoga. How many of us know some of the rules and regulations of Ashtanga Yoga? Ahimsa, Satyam, Brahmacharyam, Astikyam. To maintain perfect Brahmacharya is the prerequisite for Ashtanga Yoga. Isn't it? Then Astikya, to have complete faith in Bhagavan, and then Ahimsa, complete giving up of all violence. These are prerequisites. Nowadays they don't teach these things. They directly start from the third step, asana. They don't teach yam and niyam. They directly start from which step? Asana. So many people realize that the rules and regulations of Ashtanga Yoga are very difficult to execute. So they said, don't do the first and second step, go to the third step, first and second will happen later. So this gave birth to a new system of yoga, it is called Hatha Yoga. Hatha is forcible. Don't follow first two, just directly, forcibly go to which limb? Third. After Yam and Niyam, what is the third limb? It is Asana. So today around the world, everybody begins not with Yam and Niyam. Everybody begins with what? Asana. So are they practicing Ashtanga Yoga or are they practicing Hatha Yoga? Hatha Yoga. Because Ashtanga Yoga, the Guru will first teach you Yam and Niyam. Nowadays they go directly to Asana. So, and this Yam and Niyam will harden your heart.
You said Buddha, right? So Buddha is also followed this path and he is also married person. He's not
Buddha?
Yeah.
I didn't mention Buddha.
No. So for Ashtanga Yoga, Brahmacharya is the prerequisite.
Ah.
Right? But Buddha is already married and he is a married person.
Buddha is already married, but Buddha did not show the path of Ashtanga Yoga. Buddha showed the path of Shunyavad. Kshanikvad is the path of Buddha. Bauddha Dharma is not Ashtanga Yoga. Bauddha Dharma is a completely different philosophy. Later he meditated on Shunya. But that is not Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is completely different philosophy. In Ashtanga Yoga there is Sabij Samadhi and Nirbij Samadhi. There are those concepts come up later. Dharma made Samadhi, Sabij Samadhi, Nirbij Samadhi.
So if the end result is the same, whatever the Buddha followed and Bhakti Yoga.
No, the end result is completely different. The end result of Ashtanga Yoga is merging in the impersonal Brahman. The end result of Bhakti Yoga is eternal life with Sri Krishna in the spiritual world. The goals are not the same and the processes are also not the same. Okay. Should we pause? Okay, yeah.
So you mentioned about like enjoying the world without getting attached with it. So is it possible enjoying the world and not getting attached?
Yeah, it is possible to enjoy the world without getting attached to it. How is it possible to enjoy the world without getting attached to it? I'll tell you. See, when you enjoy the world with the understanding that Patanjali Muni gave, that if you get attached to the enjoyment, there will be three types of dukkha. What are the three types of dukkha, Prabhu? You tell me. Parinam, Tapa, Samskara. Have you understood all three?
Yes.
Now, equipped with this mindset, when you go out in the world, and one time you have to repeat this to yourself, to remind yourself. Tomorrow morning you will forget. Parinam, Dukh, Tap, Dukh, Samskara.
Pink coconut.
Today when I see pink coconut water, today I am not thinking, wow, unadulterated enjoyment. You know why? Because philosophy and experience has taught me that this pink coconut water is actually not a source of happiness. If I enjoy it for myself, it will be a source of what? Misery. But sometimes some devotee offers, please have pink coconut, so I am reminded. But while I don't say no to it, I still like it very much. But when I am enjoying it, at that particular point of time, I am taking it with that mindset that if I become attached to this, it will again lead to how many types of dukkha? When that layer of protection is there in your mind, you don't become attached. Okay,
I have a small scenario to explain.
and I will also give another example. Once I saw a boy and he was not married, and he fell deeply in love with one girl and he got married. That relationship was terrible. Terribly, he suffered like anything. And after 2 years, he separated from me. And then, after a few years, he told me again, I want to get married again. I said, this time you are going to do the same thing, or do you have some layer of protection within your mind? No, this time I will be careful. See, one example teaches, one instance of unhappiness teaches so many things, isn't it? So, experience plus philosophy, this is a very wonderful combination. Philosophy is known as Gyan. What is philosophy known as? Gyan. Experience is known as Vigyan. Jnanam Shastriyam, Vigyanam Anubhavatmakam. Gyan comes from Shastra, Vigyan comes from experience. This is a very deadly combination. The combination of Shastric knowledge and experience. You can't beat this. So that is what creates all the difference in the world. Now, for me, it happened with a very small object, pink coconut water. So I am very thankful to Bhagavan. That there was Gyan from Shastra, and then Vigyan came by experiencing in the world. Like this. Huh? Books. So somebody can make an.
Hare Krishna. So
Before we end the class, I just want to make a small announcement. So, Prabhuji, as was announced as a Sanskrit scholar, the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which has all the pastimes of Sri Krishna, there is a untranslated commentary on the 10th canto by Sri Hari Suri Goswami Maharaj in Sanskrit. So Prabhuji has taken up, it's a very difficult commentary to translate. So Prabhuji has taken up the task of translating it, and he has come out with this book which contains the Hindi translations of the first 7 chapters of the commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this contains, for example, which are the first 7 chapters? So like the birth of Sri Krishna, that is the second chapter. Then the celebration that happens. First chapter is the what caused the demigods to go to Lord Vishnu to ask him to appear, and how he appeared in the jail. Then he appears in the jail. Then Nanda Maharaj, Vasudev Maharaj goes and takes him to Gokul. Then there is celebration of his birth. Then there is pastime of Putna, killing of Putna, and all these. So the first 7 chapters, all this is covered. So if you want to get a copy, I only have 5 copies left. This was published 2 years ago. So we still have some copies left. If you want, you can take a copy. It's donation based. Whatever donation you want to give, you can give. There is no amount. Generally people give $10, $15, whatever. And you can obtain a copy. We have 5 copies left. If you cannot give, still you can take, and relish it. Prabhuji has written this book so that people can relish the book and understand Srimad Bhagavatam in a nice way. In addition to all the other commentaries that have been written, most prominently by Srila Prabhupada and other acharyas also, like Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sri Jeev Goswami, Sri Sridhar Swami, etc. etc. So this commentary is also there. Kindly relish Srimad Bhagavatam using all these resources, including this one. So if you speak Hindi and can read Hindi, please take advantage of this and read Krishna Katha. Thank you very much. And if you would like a copy, you can contact me, or you can just take it. I can give you my contact. If you want to donate anything, you can donate to me. If you cannot donate, that is also fine. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, the book is as a seva it has been done. It's not done for some profit or something. It's as a seva, a Brahminical effort as a seva it has been. So anybody who who wants to relish that particular work, the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, is you please most welcome to take the book. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
If you want, those who have taken, Prabhuji will be happy to sign it also.
Anyone else? Nanda Maharaj, because Krishna is first chapter again. One more.
Yeah.
Abhishek.
Okay, I know this is a very short week, right?
Hare Krishna. Just 2 minutes attention. 2 minutes attention. So we are very happy that is this Parshad Prabhu has come to Lynnwood Center. Previously when he came for a house program. He was also asking which house we have